In the peaceful village of Okata, Okon was known as a hardworking farmer with a lovely wife, Amara, and 3 beautiful daughters. His home was full of laughter, song, and the sweet aroma of roasted yam. But Okon was not content. Though his daughter brought him joy, he longed for his son, someone to carry his name, someone to sit beside him in the council of men. The villager whispered behind his back, saying a man without a son was like a tree without a root. Amara noticed his silence growing. He smiled less, he stayed out longer, and at night he sneaked into the fire with eyes that searched for something far away. One evening, she asked gently, "Is your heart no longer with us?" Okon replied, without meeting her gaze, "I have daughters, but no legacy." Amara's heart sank, but she said nothing more. She knew what was coming even before he did. As days turned into weeks, Okon grew more distant. He still worked the land, still brought home food, but laughter was gone. His daughter noticed but did not understand. Ama understood too well. He was slipping away. At the village square, old men played ayo under the bamboo tree. Their voices were low, but their words sharp. A man without no son is like a drum without no sound. One muttered, "The winds will scatter his name when he dies." Another added. Okon heard them. He pretended not to care, but their words burned into his spirit like a hot coal. At night, while Amara and the children slept, Okon stood under the moonlight and whispered to the wind, "If the gods won't give me a son here, then I will find it another way." And so the seed of betrayal was planted. One night before the first rooster crowed, Okon wrapped a cloth bundle and left his home in silence. He walked the narrow path through the forest, guided only by the moon and the weight of his desire. His journey took him to Ezemo, a neighboring village known for its fertile land and fertile women. There he met Nena, a young maiden with skin like rain-washed clay and eyes full of promise. Okon courted her quickly, speak of wealth, strength, and the importance of male child. Nena, eager to become a wife and mother, accepted his offer without hesitation. They were joined in a quiet union with only a few witnesses. Okon returned to Okata before dawn, wiping all signs of journey from his face. At home, Ama welcomed him with warm food and gentle hands. She did not know where he had been, and Okon said nothing. By the day, he walked in Okata pretending all was well. At night or during market days, he slipped away to Ezemo to be with Nina. She was soon heavy with child, and Okon had swelled with hope. Meanwhile, Amara began to notice the changes. Okon was often absent, his touch cold, his eyes always elsewhere. The guests missed their father's laughter, but he no longer joined their games or listened to their stories. One evening, Amara asked, "Where do you go, my husband?" Okon replied, "To seek better price for our harvest." But in truth, he went to Ezemo, to the woman he married in secret, chasing the son he believed could save his name. The lies grew like a weed in the garden of his home, unseen, but soon to bear bitter fruits. Months passed and Nina gave birth to twins boys. Okon was overjoyed. At last, sons! He danced, offered yam to the gods, and promised sacrifice of gratitude. He visited them often, bring clothes, food, and whispered dreams of their future. In Ezemo, he was a proud father. In Okata, he remained silent. At home, Amara's sorrow deepened. She no longer asked questions. Her heart already knew the answers her ears had not heard. The daughters saw their mother quiet pain. Chiamaka, the eldest, began to watch their father closely. One day, she followed him when he left before dawn. She returned with tears in her eyes, but said nothing. Okon believed the secret was safe, but the gods do not sleep. Chiamaka told her sister what she had seen, their father with another woman, holding twins boys. The news struck like thunder in their hearts. At this they cleansed her friends. He left mama for his son. Nkero, still young, asked, "Does that mean we are not enough?" The sisters agreed to protect their mother. They could carry their pains together. In silence, they kept smiling when Okon returned, kept helping with chores, but their heart had shifted. Amrado, no one told her, felt the change. Her daughters all grew tighter, their prayers longer, their laughter more forced. Still, Okon noticed nothing. He believed the lie was under control, that he had won. But the winds in Okata began to shift, and the gods prepared their answers. A dry season came to Okata unlike any before. The rivers shrank, the crops withered, and the animals grew restless. Hunger struck the village, and a strange sickness spread through the land, claiming children and elderly alike. Okon twin sons, born of a secret union with Nena, were struck down by the Hines. Despite his wealth, his power, and many offerings to the gods, their son grew weaker each day. Desperation shrunk to him like a shadow. He traveled far and wide to seek the best healer. paid good for herbs and prayer, but nothing seems to work. Nina heart hacking as she watched their life fade from their children. Okon, once proud, now spaced the night with his hand, strength a broken man. In Okata, Amra prayer was the only thing that kept the peace. She prayed to Allah, the earth goddess, for mercy, for her husband's sons, for the village, and for herself, but the gods remained silent. As the days passed, the sickness worsened. Okon twins' son became fragile, their eyes hardened with fever. Nina wept silently. Her dreams of son now shattered. One evening, as the sun set and the village fell into an iron silence, Okon returned home, his heart heavy with guilt. He knew he could no longer hear the truth from Amara. Amara was sitting by the fire, his eyes searching the shadow. When Okon entered, she did not speak. She did not need to. Her heart already knew. Amara Okon began, his voice cracked with weight of his secret. I have made a grave mistake. Amara did not think. She only waited for him to continue. I have betrayed you. I sought a son, and I found one another woman, Nina. And my face remained toxic, but her hands trembled. I thought I needed a son to live on. After I am gone, I was wrong. Amma rose quietly and walked to the door. She paused, looked out into the night sky, then turned back to him. The gods have heard your confession, she said softly, but have already judged you. Okon stood still, the weight of his action pressing down upon him. Amma did not need to say any more. The truth was now clear to both of them. The following morning, the village of Okata woke a chilling stillness. The bird no longer sang, and the usual hums of activity was replaced by unsettling quiet. Okon stood by his field, waiting for the sun to arise, but the sky seems to hold its breath. In Ezemo, Nina twin son has taken a turn for the worse. Despite all Okon wait, despite his desperate prayers, the boys died in the night. Okon world crumbled. He has betrayed the woman who had loved him, and now the gods has taken the son he has so desperately sought. His heart broken for Nina, but the truth was bitter. The gods had chosen to take what he has wrongfully gained. Amara, calm and composed, stood beside him. You sought a shadow, Okon, and in chasing it, you lost the sun. Days passed, and Okon could feel the weight of his action pulling him down. The land, once fertile and full of promise, now seems barren. The villager not look at him with respect, but with pity. It was then that Okon realized he has traded the love of his family for an harrowed dream. The gods had heard his plea, but their answer had been swift and final. As the season changed, Okon's heart grew heavy with regret. His sons, the ones he has betrayed Amma for, were gone, and the village looked at him with sorrow rather than respect. The land, once close and bountiful, seems to wither along with his spirit. Okon went to Nina's village, seeking solace and answer, but all he could find was emptiness. She has left, taking their memories and the remnant of his hope with her. The twins' boys were buried beside the river where they had once played, their grave marked by a simple stone. Back in Okata, Amra did not greet him with anger. She spoke little, but her eyes, those wise, patient eyes, held no judgment, only quiet sorrow. She knew the gods had spoken, and now Okon has to face the truth of his actions. You have lost your sons, Okon, Amra said one evening, but you have not lost your daughters. Her words struck him deeply. The daughters he had once ignored, the daughters who had been more than enough, were still with him, strong than ever. As the months passed, Okon began to see his daughters with new eyes. Chiamaka, Daisy, and Nkiru has grown into a young woman, wise, capable, and full of life. They have walked the field with Amra, bringing in harvests that kept the family fed. They have kept the household together, even when their father was lost in his own world of regret. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange, Chiamaka approached him, her face serious. Father, she said, we have kept the house running. The land is fertile again, but you do not want to forgive your own self. How can you seek for forgiveness when you do not forgive your own heart? Okon stared at his daughter, her words cutting through him like a blade. He has never thought of it that way. He had been so focused on what he had lost that he had forgotten to value what he still had. The next day, he went to the edge of the river, where the wind whispered the stories of old. He knelt there, hands trembling, and spoke aloud to the spirit of the land and the ancestor. I have been blind, he whispered. I sought to change the God's way. I have learned, too late, that what is given is always enough. Amra watched from a distance, saw her husband at the river. She did not rush to him, but let him find his peace in his own time. As Okon knelt by the river, the wind seems to speak to him.
carrying with it ancient voices of the land. For the first time in years, he felt peace. The gods has not cursed him. They have not taken from him out of spite. They have many shown him the truth, that family, love, and legacy comes in many forms.
When he returned to the village, the change in him was clear. Oko no longer walked with pride of a man who sought to conquer fate. He walked with humility, his head bowed, not in shame, but in understanding. His daughters, though they had never asked for it, saw the difference in their father. The quiet wisdom he had once been hidden behind his pride began to emerge. He spent his days teaching them not just how to farm, but how to live with integrity, to honor the gods, and to honor the love of family. One evening, as the fire cracked softly, Oko looked at Amara, his heart full of gratitude. "I was wrong," he said simply, his voice steady but filled with remorse. "I lost sight of what mattered most." Amara smiled softly, her eyes full of forgiveness. "The gods has already forgiven you, Okon. You only need to forgive yourself." And so, in the years that follow, Okata flourished again, not just in craft, but in spirit. Okon no longer sought for a son. He had 3 daughters who had become everything he had ever needed.
In time, Okon's daughter grew into powerful women, each in their own right. Chiamaka, the eldest, became a healer, known for the knowledge of herb and medicine. Adeze, with her quick hands, became a skilled craftswoman, respected across the village for her intricate basket and beautiful clothes. Nkiru, the youngest, became a storyteller, preserving the legends of their ancestors with a voice as rich as the earth. Together they helped rebuild Okata, not just with their labor, but with their wisdom and love. Okon watched with pride as his daughter led the village in ways he never could ever imagine. They become the pillars of the community, their names known far and wide.
As years passed, Okon grew older, his body weary from the work of lifetime, but in his heart, he was at peace. He no longer felt the weight of what he had lost, for in his daughter, he had found more than he could ever dreamed. One evening, as he sat beneath the bamboo tree, watching the sunset, Chiamaka came to him, her face full of the same wisdom he had once eluded him. "Father," he said, "the land is ours now, and we will continue to honor the works you began, but the future will be ours to shape." Okon looked at her, and for the first time, he saw the legacy of his life, not just in his son, but in the strength of his daughter. They were the future, the true heirs to his name. "I see now, Chiamaka," he said, his voice full of quiet pride. "You are always the legacy I needed." The village worked together in harmony. Okon, though now older, had found a deep peace within himself that he had never known before. He spent his days along his daughters, helping where he could, but most offering wisdom and guidance. Okata has flourished, and the seasons were kind once more. The rains were plentiful, the harvest abundant, and the people of the village worked together in harmony. One day, as he walked through the field with Chiamaka, he paused and looked out over the village that had become so much more than he ever imagined. "Chiamaka," he said quietly, "I once thought that a man's worth was measured by the sons he left behind. But now, I see that a man's true legacy is the life he built with those he loved." Chiamaka smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We have built it together, Father. You taught us that." And in that moment, Okon knew that his life, though marked by mistake, had also been a life of great meaning. He has sought for what he thought had lacked, but in the end, he has found everything he truly needed. Years passed, and Okon grew fragile with age. His once strong hands, which had tilled the soil and built home, now trembled when he reached for his walking stick, but his heart remained filled, for he had come to understand that the true meaning of legacy, not in sons, but in the lives of his daughters, the women who has carried his name forward in ways he had never expected. As Okon laid on his deathbed, surrounded by his daughter Amra by his side, he felt a sense of peace that had eluded him for so many years. His daughters, Chiamaka, Adeze, and Nkiru, had become the heart of Okata, each of them leaving their mark on the village in their own ways.
"I was a fool," he whispered, his voice weak but steady. "But in the end, I see now that my true legacy is not in the sons I sought, but in the daughters I was blessed with." Amma smiled softly, her hands resting gently on his. "You have always known Okon. It just took you time for you to see it." As Okon closed his eyes for the final time, He knew that he has left the world in capable hands. His daughters could continue to guide Okata. Their strength and wisdom become the bedrock of their future. And so, in the quiet of the night, Okon passed into the spirit world, his heart at peace. His name could live on, not in the shadow of what he has lost, but in the light of what he has gained. The legacy of Okon was never about the sons he longed for, but in the daughters who had shown him what true greatness was.
Thank you for spending time with us. We hope this story touched your heart and sparkled your thoughts. For more beautiful tales that carry the soul of Africa, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, keep the story close and the lesson closer.